pleasant good morning to you one and all. Pleasant good morning. Welcome to the Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome. And I have to keep reminding you that once you come, share the live, give us a thumbs up, and we are going to bring you the credible, valuable information. Share the live. And again, it's always I keep saying it. It is a pleasant surprise to see the number of students who were in the schoolyard this CARICOM day, this Monday holiday in Guyana and Canada. So it's very encouraging to see this many of you in the schoolyard. And once the doors were open, you were in the class trying to get those advantageous seats. So yes, here we are, ready and willing to go. Today is July 1, or if you are in certain places, like the acting commissioner, it might very well be June the 31st. But for us, last year, June 31st, because a rank was interdicted from duty from June the 31st, otherwise known as July 1. So today is July 1. I hope they recognize that at least this year, June, add 30 days. So today is the 1st of July, first of a new month. And we welcome you to this episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. This is another glorious day that the Lord has made, and we must rejoice and be glad in it. We must give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living, and we do so give praise and thanks. We have a lot to tell you this morning, as usual. And I'm sure you're going to find it very, very informative, very, very interesting, perhaps even educational. So here we are on this new day, brand new day, the start of not the working week, because today is a public holiday. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you are prepared and looking forward to the new week, to be productive in this new week. There are so many things that occurred since the last program on Wednesday that I think we're going to be taxed to bring all of this information to you in the limited time that we have. But we have a format. We have to go through the format with the roll call, and then we are going to go. We're not going to give up on the format. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio. He's rearing and ready to go. So we are going to get started with the roll call, and then we're going to move straight into the program. Again, I wish to apologize to some of you because when the program was scheduled shortly after 7 o'clock this morning, I made a note, I made a note of the students who were in the schoolyard. And when I went back into the studio, only to discover that the first 19 students were removed from the chat, first 19. So the first person you will see on when we get there is not the first really that was in the studio this morning. But I have a note of those persons who were there. And somebody did say to me yesterday that in any school you go, roll call is very, very important. And yeah, it is important, so we're going to do that. So let me start off with the roll call. As I've said, these names do not appear right now in the chat because they were removed. But the first person to be on this morning was at 7:12. We scheduled just about 7:10, 7:12. Was Vibert, and this is Vibert Larson. The man got two back-to-back first. He was first last week, Wednesday, and he's first again this week. Congratulations. He was followed by Matthew James at 7:13. Pauline came in next, Pauline McPherson, followed by Aubrey Plantis from Canada. Mr. Conway Scotty. He was followed by Bert Burnett. Evangelina Whittaker came next. Winston Arthur from the UK was next. He was followed by Derry Collins, and then we had Sean Rabindranath from Schenectady. He came in at 7:18. Natasha came next at 7:19. Then we had Tessa from Florida. She too came at 7:19. Felicia came in at 7:20. That's Felicia Lewis. Mary Smith from Brooklyn came in at 7:21. Derek Trotman. Trotty came in at 7:21. Alison Richards came in at 7:21. Everett Leonard, the man from Texas. I don't know where he is right now, but I know he hails well. He was living in Texas, but I know he had traveled. He came in at 7:22. Carlton Lewis, my squad mate, 9430 from Brooklyn, came in at 7:22. Then we have Pamela Alls, West Coast West Dem George. She came in at 7:23. And then the first person we have here at 7:23 as well is, I'm going to start putting up the name, is Lennox. Then he was followed by Vibord. This is the next Vibord. This is Vibord John. We have several Vibords. Then Gibbo came in next, and Gibbo was followed by Winston. Winston is from California, out in the west. Then we had Brennan, and then we have the one and only BX, and he says right now he's looking at us from Annandale, East Coast Demerara. Then it was Rawl. Then Wayne from the UK came in next, and Wayne was followed by Mr. G. Here he is. Mr. G came in next. Lucius from Maryland came. Then it was Como from New Jersey. Kenneth de Floremont from Maryland. He is here in the schoolyard. He was in the schoolyard early. Then we have Brian Saul from Brooklyn. He's followed by Courtney Saul from New Jersey. Then this Watlisma Shetred came in. And then it was Kevin, retired Assistant Commissioner Kevin Adonis is in the house. Then from New Jersey, Patricia. Then it was Devian. And then from Crane, it was Ulrich. Then the next person here, I can't recall seeing them before. Peter Noons came in next at 7:34. Raheem. Then we have Umi. He or she came in at 7:37. Lynette. Lynette is from the UK, came in next. Then we have George. Then George is from USA. Philip. Jakey. Maryland. Emerson. Carlisle Jacobs is in the classroom. Then we have from Peters Hall, Anthony Bradshaw, retired or ex-sergeant. Joan came next. Then after Joan, it was George, BV man. Then my squad mate Gaston from Canada. Then after Gaston, it was Barbara, Dexter, Magnell, Carl. Then who was next? Then after Carl, it was Daniel from the Hills. The Hills from Linden is well represented. Glendis, John. Then after that, it was Derek. This is Derek McCalmon. Forgus came next. Ethel is here. This is the next Vibord Smith. Old detective is here. Then look at next man from the Hills. Barlett from the Hills is in the schoolyard. Patricia came next. She's from Brooklyn. Moses, Barrow. The Barrows are, as usual, well represented. Princess Earl is here. Then it was Oswald, and Oswald ex-police. He said 13406 was his number. Patricia is here. Gordon from Canada. Then after Gordon, it was then the secretary, Denise, came in. She was followed by Monica. Then we have Essie. Then the next Denise, this is Denise Moore from Florida. Then we have Floyd, Pito from Queens. Carmel, I can't recall seeing Carmel before. Welcome to the classes. Then from Melinda Shanna, Francis Keith. Then it was Glendon. Then Sandra. Earl is here. And then after Earl, it was Carl, my squad mate from Arizona, followed by Malcolm, followed by Inferno Boss. I told you about the number of students in the classroom, in the schoolyard, you know. Inferno Boss was followed by Clarence, followed by Ainsworth, Henrik. Kerry from Maryland is here. And after Kerry, it was Anchor Paul. Then it was Maureen, another Collins. Winston is here. And then we had Michael, Queenie from Brooklyn, John. John said he missed a couple of classes, but he's back again. My squad mate, Doreen, W349 from Canada. Then it was Colin from Queens, New York, followed by Wayne, followed by John from Brooklyn. Then it was Sherwin, Carville, another squad mate of mine. And then who next? After that, it was Gene. Gene came in at 9:24. And then it was the original black man. He has reverted. Original black man. Then we have Bonita, Morris, Isabella, Marcia. And then we have Danny is here. Ivan, Sydney, another Saul Grantley. And then we have Ronald. And then the man who I believe in, I am of that same ilk. Speaking truth to power is here next. Then we have Anthony Jarvis. Out of the UK, next is Oren Beard, my friend Chicken, Dylan, Marcus, Lynette, is in the house. And then all the way from Georgia, we have Jacko. And then we have One Love, always One Love, One Love. And then this is another name, Abira 1111. Can't recall seeing that person before. Then it was Ruth, then Stefan, then it was Trevor. After Stefan, Trevor, then we have Sandrine, Brenda, Melissa, and who else? Then we have Marvin. Agla is here, Marvin. Then Sheena. Chelo is in the house. Welcome. Chelo is logging in from Brooklyn. Rohan. How can we ever forget Rohan? Melville is here. And then after that, who else we have? Orville. Lorraine. And this is Lorraine Orr this time. Then we have another Paul Marcus. And then it was Randolph. And after Randolph, it was Dorrett Darrington. Samuel. Willow is here. Then 9135 all the way from California, Terrence. Then we have a Rowan from Puerto Rico. Then we have Samuel Clifton. Another Lorraine. This time is Lorraine Brandt. Followed by Ingrid. Followed by Sean. Then Desiree. Then David. Lots of persons here. Emerson. And then when we went live, Emerson was the last on YouTube. And then when we went live, the first person was Edward. Edward is always here as one of the first persons on Facebook. He was followed by Gordon. And after that, we had Lynette from Barbados. Lynette, hope you are safe, my dear. We know about the storm passing through Barbados at the moment. And we wish all our people from Barbados, hope that you're safe. Then we have Danny. Danny is from Trinidad. The storm is also threatening Trinidad and Tobago. Danny, hope you're safe. And then we have Carlton, Popo, another regular. Oh yeah, we have a lot to discuss. So those are the persons who are in the very early. We have right away. We have hundreds and hundreds already, waiting. Because you know, I made the notification as to the subject we're gonna deal with this morning. We gotta go into it. But before we do that, let me make the usual announcements. Now we have to let me go through this carefully. On a previous program, we announced the death of former member Robert Ford. I indicated that he was the son of the late Roy Ford, ex-quartermaster, whose regulation number was 7029. Fordy was well-known domino enthusiast, and the deceased is also the brother of prominent attorney, senior counsel Roy Zill Ford. Well, I received information that the funeral service will be on the 7th of this month at Caribe Funeral Home in Brooklyn. There's on Utica Avenue on Brooklyn. The funeral service will commence at 1 p.m. on the 7th. So there's an update for that. Now, on the happier side, birthdays. Today, we want to wish a few people we know are celebrating their birthdays today. First person is woman Inspector Sharon Ferguson. Sharon, happy birthday to you. She's observing her natal day today. We also have a birthday today of retired ASP Lloyd Thomas. We used to call him Stone Face. Lloyd is celebrating a birthday today. And one of my biological sisters is also celebrating a birthday today. Donna Hopkins. She is in Brooklyn, Queens, sorry. Donna. So those three persons are celebrating. And then we have some people who celebrated their birthdays recently. Woman Deputy Superintendent Alexis David. That was about a week ago, but some of you missed it last Wednesday. We have Superintendent John Barker, celebrated a birthday recently. We have the popular, the one and only Sherrod Duncan from In the Ring. And the other program, for your information, Sherrod, who contested the leadership of the Alliance for Change over the weekend, he celebrated a birthday, I think it was yesterday. And a person who is on the live right now celebrated a birthday recently, Colin Stanford from Queens. We mentioned him earlier. I want to take this opportunity to wish all those who are celebrating today and who celebrated recently. And you know, don't correct me or ridicule me. We just say birthday, but we know it's birthday. Because as somebody said, we only have one birthday, that is on the day which you were born. All the anniversaries thereafter are birth dates. not the board day. Only one board day you can have. Well, Guyanese, we say board day, and you know what we mean. So, congratulations to all you people. Wish you all the best, prosperity, happiness, health, and strength. So, then let me move on. After that, I gotta make the point. You're talking. No, before maybe I should tell you that today is a holiday, CARICOM Day in Guyana, 4th of July. It's also a holiday, we understand, in Canada, Canada Day. And hope you enjoy the holiday. Many of you took the time to be in the school because you want the information. And today is also the 186th anniversary or 185th anniversary of the Guyana Police Force. Guyana Police Force was established on the 1st of July, 1839. So today is the anniversary of the Guyana Police Force. And, we had a cricket recently, but before we go to that, let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to deal with the World Cup final, and then we're going to go into some other issues and so on. CC, morning and welcome.
Morning. Thank you very much. Congratulations to those persons you mentioned who celebrated their, I can say, birthday, and those who maybe we may have omitted to mention, happy birthday. Happy to be in the land of the living, and we are all raring to go, Paul.
Yes, we are ready to go. Well, let me deal with the cricket force. We had the T20 finals. The first thing I want to say is that it is nice that the tournament came to the West Indies and the US. And from all reports, all indications, it was incident-free, no major incident. Even though prior to the tournament, we got a report that terrorists had threatened to disrupt the tournament. But the tournament came, the tournament ended, and there was no disruption. So kudos to all those who were involved in the planning, especially those who were involved in the security arrangement. In terms of the cricket, the pundits have said that some of the wickets were substandard, which resulted in the bowlers getting too big an advantage. A few wickets, a few exceptions you had, or perhaps the only real exception was St. Lucia, and we had some good scores. West Indies got knocked out, and then we had this final on Saturday. Now, the people say, you got to laugh. South Africa. At the beginning, I said, and a lot of people felt that the Indian team was the overwhelming favorite. Here we go again. South Africa reached the final for the first time, and then we said, I said that I would have backed the underdog. We're getting some disruptions on the internet. I'm getting a thingy. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the truth, so they do everything to prevent this broadcast from going out. Tommy said I'm frozen, so let me know that if you can hear me. Perhaps I can bring in Mr. Conway. Let me see. Cici, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Well, all right. So let me continue then. So we had this situation where, as we said, they said I'm back. Okay. So yeah. So we had I said I'm back the underdog, even though I know that India were the overwhelming favorites. Now let me say this. Well, I know a lot of cricket fans are on the live. Coming down to the bottom, when South Africa needed 30 runs off 30 balls, with Klassen there with 4 wickets down. If I were a betting man, I would have betted big or bigly on South Africa. To see South Africa came back from that position and lost. They came back from a winning position and almost, well, you don't say unassailable in cricket, but from a position like that, a few teams would have lost. You needed 30 runs with 30 deliveries, with 6 wickets in hand, and you come back and you lose this game. That's what South Africans are chokers. And perhaps this proved that they're chokers. But there's some amount of controversy. You know that catch, let me say, that catch that Sky took to get rid of Miller, that was a crucial part. That was perhaps the best catch ever, given the circumstances. Because had he not taken that catch, it would have been 6 and almost would have been game over with Miller there. It will be 6 with all over. But the catch, and let me show you, there's a video circulating. I don't know how authentic it is, but I have a video which was sent to me last night. And this purports to show the catch, and it purports to show as well that the foot of Suri Kumar Yadav touched the skirting, the boundary skirting, when the catch was being taken, and therefore should have been 6. Let me show you. I don't know how many of you would have seen it, but look what it says. Look at it.
Let's go! Everybody rise up! Stand up! It's that time!
Let me play it one more time. There's a short video.
Let's go! Everybody rise up! Stand up! It's that time!
Yeah, so, you know, a little controversy surrounding it. But as Swami said, it is not easy to have lost from that position. A lot of emotions and all of that. But, you know, they say cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties. And that game perhaps demonstrated that more than anything else. 30 runs from 30 balls with 6 wickets in hand. And they lost the game. They lost the game. CC, I know he's a cricket enthusiast. I know you'll have something to say about that. What are your views, my brother?
Well, I have similar views like you know, and then they say South Africa are chokers. Perhaps they choke them with that catch there, you know. And I believe, you know, if you have the technology, you must use it to the fullest extent, and you should not rush it. I think they usually know, Paul, you were in the security sector there, with the West Indies cricket, that there are numerous cameras, and when a game comes tight like that, coming down to the bottom there, and you need to use all the cameras from the various angles. Anyway, it was a good match, an exciting match, a match deserved for a final. And I've always been saying that Kohli is a match winner. And although he failed along the time, I had a feeling that he would have come good on the final. So it was a really a good match, despite all that went on there. And even the pitches and all, you know, some were substandard, but that's the game of cricket. And that's what make it very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I know I should have said congratulations to India for winning after 17 years. They were able to win ICC tournament. But my surprise was that the third umpire did not ask for more angles. Especially, they might have had overhead angles, which would have clearly shown or should have shown whether, in fact, that left foot touched the boundary skirting. But I was surprised that he made a decision so quickly, because we have seen in the past where a decision like that, they asked all the angles, they asked for zooming in and so on, but they did not do that time. This is not to detract from the victory by India. India played throughout the tournament. They played very good cricket, and I think they're deserving of the victory. But, you know, as we said, coming on to the tournament, the final, you don't want to have any type of controversy. I would have wished that more angles would have been asked for, and then to satisfy everyone that it was indeed a fair catch. But be that as it may, India are the champions, and we must compliment and we must congratulate them. I also note that 3 of the stalwarts in Kohli, Rohit Sharma, and Jadeja have all bowed out from T20 International. So it seems it is clear now that when India plays the next T20 International, they're going to be some new faces in that team. And looking forward, you know, let me remind you that the West Indies will be playing England in a test match. I think they start next week, Wednesday, I think it is. And at the end, I think Friday, we have the Major League Cricket in America is going to commence. I think it is Friday. So check your schedule. So it's only a few days off. We have these, for us cricket fans, only a few days off before we're going to be there, glued to the television again to watch the game. So, let me move on. As we said, today is the anniversary of the Guyana Police Force, 185th anniversary. They might have had I think they had the church service this morning. You know, this is a day back in the day that we look forward to. The church service, drumhead service. I was a key figure. As a matter of fact, let me say this for people who don't know. The initiation of the drumhead service was when I was there as a young assistant superintendent, having done drill course and all of that in the army. We came back because we never used to do drumhead service. We used to do a regular anniversary service, and then we decided, I think Duncan Clark and these people, let's do a drumhead service, and then we work out the format for the drumhead service and all of that. And it has been something that has been going on ever since. So the drumhead service would have started, I think it would have been, I became an inspector in the early 80s. So in the early 80s, and then it has continued today. And, you know, let me bring in Mr. Conway to comment on the anniversary. And then I have a prayer to read for you in respect of that. CC, fourth anniversary.
Congratulations to the members of the Guyana Police Force. And you mentioned that you have a prayer to read. I can recall, I think it's 2021, Pastor Dolly Chan at the culture center, Natural Culture Center, prayed for the police, and he prayed for all the areas of the police force. And then with breakneck speed, he got a letter from the admin terminating his service as the force chaplain. And Happy, who was performing the duties of commissioner, and I must say that Happy was never appointed acting commissioner. He was performing the duties of commissioner, wasn't aware of it. The order came from an office northwest of Breakdown Police Station. And quickly, in labor time, some people rushed to a house in Robb Street. And then they activated a big one at Chief Chanjapal Drive. And they quickly, Happy was instructed to rescind the revocation order that was issued for Pastor Dodichan to go along his way. He's still there. Understand he's there now, immovable, like the rock of Gibraltar. I want to be presumptuous this morning, Paul, and I want to pray for the Guyana Police Force. I know that Lloyd Barker used to say, former commissioner, that commissioners may come and commissioners may go, but the Guyana Police Force goes on forever. So join with me as I pray for the Guyana Police Force. Almighty and everlasting Father, I bring members of the Guyana Police Force before you, from the extended squatter to the last joint police, the neighborhood police, the community policing group, the station management committee, the advisory, members of the special constabulary, members of the rural constabulary, and all other auxiliaries. Lord, as they carry out their tasks as set out in section 3.2 of the Police Act, chapter 16:01, and what society expects of them, Lord, I ask you to influence them, to inspire them, that they will do their tasks with clean hands, with warm hearts, with cool heads, and a passion for the job, and a passion for you, God. God, we are aware that you were the first police officer, is that you had to police Adam and Eve, and you did so effectively in the Garden of Eden. You were quick to detect, unlike what's happening in the police force, the sins that they had committed, and you didn't rush to pass judgment on them. you call them and you ask them what took place. And Lord, they confess, and the confession was free and voluntary. You give them the right to be heard. And that is what should be going on in the police force, where forces must have the right to be heard. Lord, be aware that there are streams of corruptions and rivers of corruptions that is flowing through the Guyana police force. From Imbatura police station on the north to Karasabai on the deep south of the Rupunoni, from Aishalton on the east to from Oriella to the east to Kaikan on the west. Lord, we pray that you will bless those policemen, that you will inspire them to do the work as you had laid out. And Lord, if we read the Bible, there are numerous stories in the Bible telling us how to do policing. We can't do policing without you, God. We cannot do policing, God. So I pray, Lord, that you inspire them to read the Bible and those holy books and be guided by what is laid down in these books for them to do effective policing. Lord, it is well known that I'm a geriatric and a humble one. I may have forgotten to ask for certain things that for the police that they will need. Lord, I pray that whatsoever I forget to ask, may you grant. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen and amen, Pastor Brother CC. Amen and amen. Now, let me, we perhaps we're going to say that we're in a religious mood this morning. But let me also read, and I'm going to read the prayer that got Pastor Dulichan into trouble in 2021. This is not my prayer. This is the prayer that he prayed at the cultural center, which caused him to be dismissed the same day and then later reinstated. Hear what the prayer says. And he said, the prayer that got Pastor Dulichan fired as Guyana Police Force chaplain. And they quote him here, "This day we lift the Guyana Police Force before you. And Father, today, if we are honest, we will say that the force is hemorrhaging right now. We stand in the gap and we confess the sins of this noble organization. We confess every spirit of racism in this organization. We confess the spirit of corruption and bribery. We confess the spirit of injustice. And we declare, oh God, even now, above all, we confess the disunity. And we pray, oh God, right now, that this force is so fragmented that unless you help this force will continue to be in trouble. That was 2021 at the anniversary church service at the cultural center. Some people say that a lot has not changed. People say perhaps the prayers were not answered because many of the things that Pastor Dulichan asked for intercession on are continued. Some will say they have become even worse. We're talking about bribery. We're talking about disunity, all of those things. The force, he said, was so fragmented that unless you help God, this force will continue to be in trouble. That was the prayer that Pastor Dulichan prayed in 2021. And because of that prayer, he was fired, not by the man who was carrying on the functions of Commissioner Nigel Lappy, but by someone else. And then there's a report which says that when the president heard of that, he said that he was there and he saw nothing wrong with the prayer, and therefore Pastor Dulichan was reinstated. So again, you have to be reminded of these things. And I say to you that anniversary, 185th anniversary, I wish from the bottom of my heart, I wish the Guyana Police Force, all the best. And I continue to say that the Guyana Police Force is an institution, 185 years old institution. They ain't going no place. The problem with the organization now, not the organization in itself, is those who are in the organization, especially some very senior ones. Right? That is the problem. They are good, honest, hardworking, dedicated persons in the police force, and they are known. They are known, right? But you know what they say about one rotten apple, what it does? It spoils the whole barrel. So some of them are giving the force a bad name. So happy anniversary. I guess the next, I know normally you would have a route march. That was my thing. We got a route march. Let me say very early this year, before the route march. I don't know when it is. I don't know when the route march is. To say that I hope that the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, will make sure that he's appropriately dressed for the march past on this occasion. Remember the last occasion last year? We got a photograph. I'm not going to show it now. But in case they want to dispute, I'm going to show it. Where he came with his back down clothes, as I refer to it, to take the march past in front of the Ministry of Home Affairs at Brickdam. That was so shameful, disgraceful, right? But we hope this time around, when the route march, because I know it's tradition to have a route march, that the minister will be guided as to the appropriateness of his dress. Now, in moving on, let me say this. We made an announcement some time ago when we said, about 2 weeks ago, or a week ago or so, can't remember the exact date, but we spoke about the appointment of woman superintendent Daniels as the deputy traffic chief, and we said, and this was based on a release from the police, that she became the first female to be in that position as deputy traffic officer. Now, almost immediately, some of the older police ranks messaged me, older former police, to say that statement was inaccurate, that the first person to have had that distinction was Joyce Ross, W7, woman police whose number was W7. Joyce Ross, they say, that is what they're telling me, was the first female to hold the position of deputy traffic officer. I remember Miss Ross very well. Her husband was a senior police officer, Arthur Ross, and Arthur had a son. I don't know if the son was shared, who was at the TSU back in the day when I was there as a constable. We used to call him big and strong. We used to call him Ars. So people asked me to put that out there. So perhaps some of the very old policemen, traffic ranks in particular, can let us know, because these things, we have to be accurate. As I said, the police press release said that she, Daniels, had the distinction of being the first female. That is even carried in one or two of the dailies. But people are saying to me that that is not so. Joyce Ross, W7. I remember her very well. And I know that Mr. Conway joined before me, and therefore he might also remember Mr. Ross. Cece, do you remember Miss Ross?
Yeah, very well, very well. A very dignified woman. We interacted on several occasions, so I know her well. And also I know her son who was at TSU, and also her husband. And after we had made an announcement, over they had a publication, just like you, plenty persons called me and say, hey, she wasn't the first female. And then I recall visiting her at traffic headquarters when she was in the office as a deputy traffic chief.
Yeah, and moving on, we got to quickly talk about this hurricane that is in the Caribbean, Beryl. And I just saw a breaking news. I think it would make the Grenadines pass tropical storm, Barbados, Trinidad, and Tobago, heading towards St. Lucia, Grenada, and all of those countries. I want to pray for all of those persons who are in the path of this dangerous storm, and pray that they're safe and that they are going to be showered with the blessings from the Almighty. You know, we are fortunate in this part. We don't get hurricanes. We don't get, we had a tremor the other day, and that's a little tremor, but we don't get that. So let's pray for those persons who are in the path of Hurricane Beryl. Beryl seems to be a wild girl. Beryl, yeah, she made Grenada a little while ago. One of the students is saying. So let's pray for those persons. See, we got the hurricane hitting Grenada, St. Lucia, and those Windward Islands as we speak.
Yeah, and then I recall listening to advisory from Jamaica, my favorite country, where they were advising person that the hurricane might very well veer off to Jamaica, you know, so they asked them to take precautions. And then I can always remember what Gilbert did to Jamaica, although many Jamaicans were happy after the event, because I remember the song, Miguel Color TV, Gilbert give me, you know, and Gilbert give them a whole lot of things, but we hope that it would veer away from Jamaica.
Yeah, we'll hope. And they're saying this is a record storm. They say it's the first time a storm of this nature is formed so early. This is only July 1. And the hurricane season lasts right to October, I think. And they claim that this is a record storm in terms of its the formation, the rapid increase of the wind and the force. And I saw it was last night that they're watching a development behind Beryl that is likely to turn into a tropical storm very shortly. And again, we have to pray that these things, that the people are safe in this area. And in moving on, let me say this. I mean, one of the student posted, and I think I should inform you because I know many of you are into not only local affairs, but many of you are in the US, as we have said. And there's a breaking news coming out this morning from the appeal court. The Supreme Court rules that Trump has limited immunity in January 6 case, jeopardizing trial before the election. And briefly, what CNN is reporting is that the Supreme Court ruled on Monday that Donald Trump may claim immunity from criminal prosecution from some of the actions he took in the waning days of his presidency in a decision that would likely further delay a trial on the federal election subversion cases pending against him. In the most closely watched case before the Supreme Court this year, the ruling rejects a decision from a federal appeals court in February that found Trump enjoyed no immunity from alleged crimes he committed during his presidency to reverse the 2020 election result. And the court is quoting here saying, "We conclude that under our constitutional structure of separation of powers, the nature of the presidential power requires that a former president have some immunity from criminal prosecutions for official acts during his tenure in office." That's what Chief Justice John Roberts wrote on Monday in Monday's opinion. At least with respect to the president's exercise of his core constitutional powers, this immunity must be absolute. The president enjoys no immunity for his unofficial acts, and not everything the president does is official. The president is not above the law. That is what Roberts wrote. So for those of you who are interested in international affairs and all of that, I thought I'll bring you up to speed with that. Now moving along, and staying with a little bit of politics. We don't normally deal with politics in this program. We deal with facts. We deal with law enforcement and these things. But there are some issues that you can't skirt over. So that is why I read that breaking news. And then we say the other thing that we need to, I think I need to, and we need to congratulate Attorney at Law, Mr. Nigel Hughes, on being elected as the leader of the AFC, the Alliance for Change. And as was to be expected, they coming out guns blazing and trying to discredit Mr. Hughes. They are trying to discredit him. They're talking about conflict of interest and all that. But I want to congratulate Mr. Hughes on the election. And as he says, better must come. Better must come. The elections was smoothly held. I think it was on Saturday. And we are getting report too that in the PNC election, Mr. Norton, well, of course, he was unopposed. He too is returned as a leader. So let's see where it will go. I know there's a lot of panic in the House because people come out firing people with no credibility at all, attacking people who have credibility. See, I'm sure you would have seen that result. And I read the breaking news from the US for you. What are your comments, my brother?
Yes, and it's true. The court rule that they limited immunities, and I'm no politician. I belong to any political party. I am a political since 1973 when I was entitled to vote. When I became a voter, I have never voted at any of the elections, but I believe in good governance. And I wish to congratulate Nelly Hughes and others for their election into the party system, and also R.B. Norton and others. We want, it mustn't be a one party dominating this country. There might be others who could hold them to the wheel or who could really perform even better than they perform. So let the political issues come along nicely.
Right. And then there's another issue. You know, we talk about safety, they talk about tourism and so on. I saw a very disturbing tape a few days ago, and I will show it to you because I have it here. Very, very disturbing. And what I'm referring to here is that, according to the report, two visitors came to see cricket in Guyana. You know, they had the semi-finals between England and India at Providence Stadium. And the video shows that these men were going back to their hotel. They were pounced on by two predators and robbed. And it is said that among the things that were stolen from them were the American green cards. And you can imagine what's going to happen there now. Because if they're in Guyana and they have they are legal permanent resident, as they are called, and you thieve their green card from them, I can understand they're going to get some issues getting back into the States. I hope that these guys were able to overcome that hurdle and be able to get back to whatever work they had to do and all of that. But the whole thing is that, you know, we're talking about safety, and it is very disturbing because at one incident of this nature, imagine what they're going to go and tell people and all of that, that Guyana is not a safe place. And it is true. People have said to me that they are afraid to come to Guyana because of the traffic situation and because of you're being victims of robbery. Let me show you what the tape. Let me show you this tape. It's a little. It's about 2 minutes. Look at it here. Yeah, folks, you saw it there. I mean, it is so upsetting. I don't know who the persons are, but based on what was reported, they are from the U.S. I don't know what time of the day this incident occurred, but these are two men apparently peacefully walking back. The country report they were going back to some bread and breakfast place where they were staying, and they were pounced on and robbed. Incident like these put Guyana in such a bad way, such a bad picture. Bad picture. It shows. Imagine what these people are going to go back and tell their relatives and friends and all of that. Imagine when people see these things, what they are going to say. And you know, I say this to say it because when they at the opening of the police officers conference early this year, the acting commissioner, the extended quarter, said that the biggest problem that they have is cyber issues. That's what he said. One of the biggest threat in this country, cyber issues. So street crimes like that, according to him, is not of concern. And I read to that where they had some activity at the stadium, I think it was last week. A lot of people complained when they came out, their cars were broken into, cell phone and other documents stolen. These things present a bad image because a lot of people in the States and in the diaspora, when they have these activities, they come to enjoy themselves. They come to Guyana to spend a week or two, to spend some money, to enjoy the weather, and to generally have a good time, meet with family and friends, and to be traumatized like when incidents like this occur. It cannot be good for the image of the country. And they're gonna tell you, oh, crime is not under control and crime is under the decrease. They're gonna say all manner of things, all manner of things. But incidents like this belie those claims of safety and security. As I've said before I begin, Mr. Conway, people have said to me, have reached out to me to say, look, I haven't gone back to Guyana for how many years. I want to go back, but man, I'm frightened the traffic situation, I'm frightened the crime, a blackout here, but blackout. These are things that are troubling people. Are we talking about investment? We're talking about tourism and all of that. You're not gonna get tourists coming to the country when these things are occurring with impunity and with regularity, it would seem. With regularity. I hope these people are caught, but I hope by now the persons will be able to either get back the green card or get some permission from the authorities to travel back to the US. Because imagine that these people came for cricket and they have to turn out to work in a day or two and they don't have travel. Because no aircraft is going to board them to go to the States unless you have a visa or American passport or a green card. So right away, it's not only to lose whatever they would have had with them, but their jobs would be in jeopardy as well. Real sad. And I grieve for those two persons and other victims. CC?
Yeah, couple of conferences ago, the police came out with a statement that the president said, safe city, we're talking about those cameras, will replace boots on the ground. Those cameras are after the fact. And you can't stop boots on the ground. Boots on the ground are very, very critical. And as you mentioned, not only the crime, but the fear of crime. Crime might be low, but they take one high profile crime to spread across the world, and then your Guyana is not a safe place. That crime is high. So they got to have a total thing and don't only depend on the camera. Safe city can't replace boots on the ground. Boots on the ground is very, very important. Important. And then they must have known that visitors going to certain locations and certain hotels as the case may be, and you provide the necessary security arrangements. But it's sad, that persons when they're about to go away, green cards gone and all kind of thing gone, For me, apart from the safe city apparatus, boots on the ground is a critical issue in crime fighting.
Yeah, and let me say this. I mean, crime fighting is to some extent a science. The first time I saw CCTVs in operation to aid crime fighting was in England when I was at the staff college there. I went to Northamptonshire for a few days attachment. I think it was Campbelltown police station was like the breakdown of that county. And they had the operations room. The cameras were there in locations and they could see what is going on. And the most important thing is that they had patrols on the ground. So if they saw something suspicious on the camera, they could alert the nearest patrol, foot or mobile patrol. Look, such and such a location, check out something looks suspicious. Well, I don't think we have that. Beats and these things are something of the past. I can't recall the last time, except for when you have Christmas policing, that you have policemen on the beats. If you're going to talk about crime fighting and making the place safe, you have to have policemen on the foot, on beats. Go to the US and all, New York and all those places, policemen on their foot and beat. Because the thing about patrols, while patrol is good to respond, a patrol drive past and many of them police vehicles you see around the place, they don't know about patrol speed because back in the day, the drivers were taught to drive at patrol speed. And patrol speed was a very slow speed, 5 to 10 kilometers, where you can then observe what is going on. But when you fight past at even 25 or 30 kilometers or in any street or road or whatever, you're going to miss things. You are going to miss things. So you have to have, in addition to the cameras where they talk about, where they talked about, but cameras and eye in the sky, they have this operation national and eye in the sky. You have to have people on the ground because cameras can't arrest nobody. Let me understand this thing clearly. Cameras cannot arrest anyone. So even if in the operations room, the people see what is going on, they have to have boots on the ground to intervene and to deal with it. So I hope they will sit down and assess these things. I was so disappointed with the report, things broken at the stadium, because we had a plan back in the day. We had a plan how to deal with mass events at the stadiums. We had a plan in make use of K9 and all of those type of things, because you know those are soft targets, vehicles parked in some remote areas. Many times they don't have lights and all of that. That was all part of the plan, that the designated parking areas will have proper lighting, and policemen, K9, used to make use of the K9 and all of that to prevent those things. But you get to the stage now, which is sad, that all of those plans that were there seems not to be operational. And I would hope that people will sit down and listen to the message, forget about the messengers. Listen to the message and make sure you sit and you strategize. Because more cricket coming up, CPL, and they get cricket festival and all things coming up. Thief man got a thief. Let me understand this thing clearly in the environment, thief man and thief. So therefore, you in law enforcement, you have to plan how to deal with situations like that, how to make the targets harder and how to prevent them from thieving people thing. Put it mildly, thieving people thing. So let me bring in Mr. Conway if he wants to say anything more on this, and then I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, I remember when Henry Green was the commissioner of police, I produced a booklet, Hints to Patrol Duty. It was useful then, and I think it is even more useful now, where they can make use of it. And if they can find a copy, I have hard copy, I have electronic copy. Let them contact me, and I will give them freely, because if I charge them, I'm going to get another conspiracy to defraud charges. So I want to give them freely in the interest of the Guyana Police Force and the interest of peace and stability in Guyana.
Yeah, so yeah, I hope that they listen. I have a copy of that book too, Insto Beat Patrol, but you have to have patrol in the first place. And I don't know how they're gonna manage that, because the force is hemorrhaging. People are resigning, people are just walking off the job. I understand the senior man questioned the acting commissioner, the extended man there. So what are the reasons for so many people leaving the force? I hope I don't expect him would have given the proper answer. They're going to come with some nonsensical explanation. But the force is demoralized. Let me understand this. And there are several reasons, including working conditions, including pay and remunerations, including management. Management is a critical part in motivating persons to work. Critical. And the people are not motivated. They report, you have officers in command and branches, all they do is cost the junior people. All they do is discriminate against them. Allegation that they want the people to get involved in corrupt practices, and when they refuse to get involved in corrupt practices, they are discriminated against. So some people have decided, rather than take a chance of being corrupt and perhaps end up in jail, it's better to go somewhere else. The security landscape in terms of private security, it seems to be a more lucrative one. And they need to examine that. They need to examine these things. For example, right now, we know, as we said, the last promotion that they had anything is 2 years ago. Today, 2 years ago, 2022, people are not being promoted. And I'm sure the vacancies in some cases are there. But these things will demotivate people. And if the senior ones who may have legitimate expectation of being promoted are not promoted, They are the ones who are not going to be able to motivate the people. And then when you decide to promote, and you're not promoting based on competence, you're promoting based on political loyalty. You're promoting based on instructions from outside of the force. People know, the ranks know, and therefore they're not going to dunk tools, so to speak, in terms of going on strike, but they will just carry through the movement. They just carry through the movement, and it is showing every day. Every day you're seeing that. Every day you are seeing that. Disunity. When Pastor Dulichan prayed in 2021, he spoke about disunity in the force, and I have information that the disunity is even more now. The disunity is worse now than it was in 2021. So how do you expect effective law enforcement? I'm saying that the police force, the Guyana police force, is a critical institution for the development of this country. Critical. And if you can't deal with it properly and get it to act in a professional manner, you're going to continue to have these incidents, and people are going to lose faith in the old system. You don't want that. You don't want that. People must be confident that if you're going about your lawful business, you're going to be uninterrupted. You have all of these robberies of Chinese business places, all type of crime going on. And then what you see, apparently the energies of the force are directed towards people with ganja. Some people with some small quantities ganja. Almost every day you pick up the paper, somebody get catch with ganja, somebody get some ganja. That seems to be the focus. And as I've said before I move on to the other subject, is that if the administration of the force feels that the most critical thing to deal with is cyber crime, then one can imagine what is going to happen. So robberies and these things are not critical. Because remember, is the acting commissioner said so earlier this year, that cyber crime is the most critical things affecting the force. He also said that the recruiting and retention of ranks is those things are critical as well. Yeah, they're critical, but what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? Let me bring in Mr. Conway to wrap up on this part, and then I'm going to move on. See anything more about the force and the patrol posture and all that?
Well, they're getting patrols, especially in Alberton, when they're going to dismantle a certain building, they get enough patrols around there. But you mentioned about, vacancies. There are vacancies for 4 deputy commissioners, and they ain't making any. As a result, there is disunity among the assistant commissioners. I saw documentation, and I'm going to make it plain with the head of the CID and the commander C division. Pages and pages of allegations and all kind of thing being circulated. The unity isn't there. Because man saying, you're assistant commissioner, you can't talk to me. You can't talk to me, and you can't deal with disparate matters, because that is for the police service commission. And here is it, you have a assistant commissioner writing an assistant commissioner in relation to disciplinary matters. So the synergy isn't there, the cooperation isn't there, like how Paul in our days where we used to look out for Matty. It isn't there. And part and at the top there, because they are not making deputy commissioners, they're not even making commissioner. All they're doing is they extended the squatter. So a lot of things going wrong, and will continue to go wrong unless decisive action is taken.
Well said, my brother. Well said. Well said. Now let me move on. And perhaps to move on, you get an Anil G on the chat. And let me put it up. Anil G wants to know if I paid the $10 million yet. He's referring to a judgment that was granted against me on Friday. Let me give you a quick rundown. And let me, from the commencement, say that there are aspects of this matter I cannot discuss. So, student, bear with me. The things that I can talk about, I will tell you. But from the outset, let me say, there are certain aspects I am not going to address. I am not at liberty to address, right? But let me start off by saying that, and then what happened, quickly, on this program some years ago, I made some statements about Senior Superintendent Fazil Karimbash, the head of SOCU. He was senior superintendent at the time, and he claimed that those statements were defamatory. So he brought a lawsuit against me. He wanted $70 million for the defamatory statements. And of course, he went through the trial and so on. And Friday gone, last Friday, Justice Simone Maurice Ramlal handed down the decision and said that she found that I did use defamatory words against Karimbash, and I was ordered to pay him $10 million, and I was ordered to pay costs of $300,000. That is Friday gone. So, Mr. G, to answer you, the matter is there, but there is a process. There is a process. First of all, I will not be like Bara Jagdeo and said that the judge is presumptuous. You know, when Justice Sandil Kisoon ruled in favor of the Guyana Teachers Union, Jagdeo, the vice president, went on a press conference and said that the judge was presumptuous, and he used all sorts of derogatory words against the judge. I'm not going to do that because I am a law-abiding citizen. The judge has made a ruling, and just to say that in the system, that is not the final ruling. That is not the final ruling. And let me go on further to say that and let me tell you, students, because I saw in the release from Newsroom, and that is, you know, in the courtroom at the time, you had a lawyer representing me, you had a lawyer representing Karimbash. I was there, Karimbash was there, and there was one other person. I don't know who the other person was, but I was noting, he didn't make a note or anything like that. So immediately the decision was handed down. I came out of the courtroom and I sat there with my lawyer, and rain was falling. You were waiting the rain, and I pick up my phone and I post on the on social media. You can see it there about this decision immediately. Within a short space of time thereafter, Newsroom had the article that the judge ordered Paul Slope to pay $10 million to Soku Head for defamation. Newsroom had the thing. And then in the article, they claim that the judge said, I did not offer any evidence. And the judge did make that remark, but let me say this. Let me say this. That is not so. The evidence is there. The fact that the judge refused to consider the evidence that was presented. And I can't go into it here. I'm itching, but I can't. I have to be prudent. I can't tell you what is the evidence before the court and what was overlooked. We got to keep that for the appropriate forum. But that was said. That is what was said. But you know, let me say this. Let me say this. I am in consultation with my lawyers because it was Friday, and you had Saturday, Sunday, today's holiday. So we haven't been able to get any proper consultation as to the way forward. But I have already indicated to the lawyers that we're taking it to the next level. You know what I understand? We're taking it to the next level. Barab Jagdeo get a lawsuit of $20 million against him, and he appeal and he appeal and he appeal. Right? Are you going to do the same? I have the same rights. Right? Even though all the thing working in this animal farm, all of us are equal, but some are more equal than others. But I am going to pursue all my legal rights. I'm going to pursue that. Right? So it ain't done yet. It is not finished as yet. So let me understand this thing clearly. And let me say this here now. I want to thank all of you, students and other people who reached out to me from the time this thing was published on Friday, all over the weekend, even this morning. People have been calling me. People have been messaging. They have been offering prayers. They have been offering their support. They have even gone so far to offer financial support to assist me in this time of need. And I appreciate that very much. People have reached out to me, reached out. My phone has been ringing off the hook since Friday afternoon. As a matter of fact, I can tell you, so in case you call me and get through, one of the reasons that when I want to take a little rest now, I have to turn off the phone. I have to turn off the phone, and then when I get up, I see this call, I return the call. It is not done, it's not finished yet, because I maintain that everything I say on this program, everything I have said in the past, anything I will say are the truth, not the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if it is speaking the truth is deemed to be defamatory, then I suspect more lawsuits are going to come. If you're speaking the truth, and the truth is determined to be defamatory, then I guess, and I did say that to the lawyer representing
You're a bit muffled, Paul. You're a bit muffled there.
All right, so I don't know what is causing that. People say the audio is not good. Y'all bear with me. Let me try to look at this again.
I'm barely hearing you.
Okay. Hold on, bear with me, man. Mic test. That's like this. Are you hearing me any better now?
Loud and clear.
Okay,
Loud and
all right.
clear.
I did some tweaking to the settings, so let me hope that that will have allowed us to overcome that. Now, let me say this as I've said again. Yeah, people they might laugh at me terrible. They might say, "You're sorry for Magadag turn wrong by you." And the people know Maxwell, you wanted them laughing at me by. Maxwell said, "Because you know about the incident, and I'm sorry for Magadag. Now Magadag turn wrong and bite you." But let me say this. Karma is a bitch. Using the B word. Karma is a bitch. And all of those people who following politicians to gang up against me, I'm talking about senior police officers. They know that I held their hands. I assisted them in some way or the other over the years. But now they decide that they're going to jam up with politicians to get at Slow. But yeah, Slow ain't going nowhere, you know. Slow is not going any place. I'm going to continue to speak the truth. And let me read. As I said, the evidence was provided. The evidence was provided. And the judge said, well, there was no evidence to support some of the things we see. But God is in charge. God is in charge. And I am not going to be daunted. I am not going to be daunted. And let me say this to you. As I said, they say, old people say ingratitude is worse than witchcraft. Ingratitude is worse than witchcraft. That's what old people say. And many of them have proven to be ungrateful to Paul Slow, who assisted them along the way, who saved them in many cases. And that is what they have been set up to do. And let me read, Mr. Conway, read a prayer this morning. Let me read a passage or two passages from the Bible. We're in a very prayerful mood this morning. And the first one I want to read to you is from John 8:31. John 8:31 says, "So Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, 'If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.'" That is what that passage of Bible said. The truth will set you free. Another passage of the Bible, the psalmist, Psalm 35. Psalm 35, the King James Version. I know many of you would have gone to church yesterday. I am not the church-going Christian, I must admit. I am not the church-going Christian. I don't go to church regularly, but I do believe. And I believe that I should act in a particular way towards my fellow human beings, which I have endeavored to do. I have endeavored to do that throughout my life and my career, and I will continue to do that. And people who know me know. People who know me know that I've always been helpful to people. And this part says, weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. That is Psalms 35, the King James Version. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. This ain't over yet. Let me understand this thing. It ain't over yet, right? So I know, as I've said, people have been reaching out to me. People have expressed concern. This NLG, one from never paid the $10 million yet. When Jack Dio paid the 20 million, I'm paid. When Big Smith, y'all know this, I learned this in court on Friday. Big Smith, who surprisingly had not said anything about this matter. Perhaps it's because members of the Police Service Commission that I was the chair got judgment against him in the court for the tune of $6.5 million, which I understand he ain't paid yet. So we got time. We got time. We got to go through the process, right? Jack Dio and Ferguson 20 million. I think he appealed and the matter has to go to trial. Big Smith 3 members of the Police Service Commission 6.5. And therefore, it's a process, it's a process. And let me say this here too, which y'all know, You might think that. I sue the police force, the Attorney General on behalf of the police force and Chronicle for $20 million for defamation. That matter was last heard in October last year, October 2023. And the date was set from then to the 24th of June 2024. The 24th of June come and pass. I got word from the lawyers that the judge may reassign. Well, the date gone, so it has to be reassigned. So, Animal Farm, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. I sued for them for that. In the case, earlier this year, you may recall, I remember telling you I got to pay costs in the same matter of $300,000, and the judge indicated that the cost must be paid by, I think it's the 24th or something like that, of this month. They said the $300,000 should be paid by this month. Do you know that on the 23rd of April this year, Justice Gino Prasad awarded damages to me against the Attorney General, $500,000 to be paid within 8 weeks of the judgment. Within 8 weeks, that's the 23rd of April. When I come, 10 weeks pass, and I can't get the money yet. 10 weeks have passed, can't get the money. I went to the Attorney General's chambers with the expectation to commit to get the money, and they tell me they ain't get the order from the court, and they have to wait until they get the order. Then they got to go to the Ministry of Finance, a long thing. But I'm saying this, that you would have received the ruling from the judge, which stated that I'm to be paid $500,000. One would have thought that you would have initiated the process there and then to whatever administrative arrangements had to be made were made so that I can get my money. But no, they haven't done that. But having said that, I must say that the person with whom I interacted, the Solicitor General, Mr. Ark, was very professional, very, very professional. He promised to follow it up and to see how best he can expedite the process. But that is not happening. So I ain't supposed to get money. I ain't getting it. So Mr. Anil G, look out, listen out for the payment and so on. When the time comes, when the matter would have gone through the process, then we're gonna hear about that. And another note I made here too about this this Animal Farm. On the 15th of October 2021, I made a cybercrime report against the Attorney General Anil Nandalal for remarks he used on his program Issues in the News. I was accompanied by my attorney from Canada, Mr. Selwyn Peters, and Mr. Conway, who was with me at court on that day. That's the same day when they came to the court to say they are arresting me for a matter that was already before the court. Ransom Soku came to the Georgetown Magistrate Court to arrest me for a matter that was already before the court. Already. And and nothing has happened. Nothing has happened in respect to the report that I made against the Attorney General. So we talk about Animal Farm. It's Animal Farm. But they're out to get me. And all because I stood up for what is right and just and decide that the people who the government wanted promoted and were not qualified would not be promoted. And they decide they're going to come after me because of that. But I am stronger than that. I am strong. As I told you all already, I know they met at the bar in Better Hope, and they said, I got the information, they said they're going to make Paul Slow the next Crummy Wing. In other words, they're going to kill Paul Slow because they killed Crummy Wing. But I tell them, nothing is going to deter me from speaking the truth. Nothing. No lawsuit, no criminal charge, nothing is going to deter me from speaking the truth. I will continue to do so. I will continue to speak the truth. Right, so folks, I think that is what I wanted to say on this matter. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. I'm sure he will have something to say and maybe have something more to say. Again, I say there are lots of things that took place that I really can't because this is not the end of the matter. And I don't want to be presumptuous. I don't want to call the judge presumptuous. I'm not going to be disrespectful to the judge because I'm a law-abiding citizen. And as I said, you don't take him at your sleep. Jagdio can do that. He sits in a position where nobody's going to do him anything. But if Slow were to say anything that they believe he should not say, they're going to come after me with guns blazing, perhaps literally so as well. But I am strong. I know people have reached out, as I've said. They have offered a lot of support. People have offered me financial support as well. And I welcome that. I welcome all the efforts that you have, well, all the messages and so on you have sent, and stay tuned. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. You see?
Yeah, perhaps, it's the rule of law that the president is talking about. Now, in relation to your matter, you're aware, Paul, that I followed very closely. For the matter I testify, I had opportunity to read the pleadings of both sides. And I am of the opinion, I'm not going to say that the judge was presumptuous, that the judge erred in certain aspects of law, and the judge, I think, misdirected herself in relation to certain aspects. But I will come public, Paul. We will discuss in camera. But let me end up with a quote from William Shakespeare, King Henry VIII, Act 3, Scene 2. And I did Shakespeare while I was going to school. I did Shakespeare for GCE, and I got a credit. And I quoted from King Henry VIII, Act 3, Scene 2. And here is part of the quote. Underlings sometimes improperly invoke the name or office of the powerful when they seek to oppress others. Let me repeat for the sake of emphasis. Underlings sometimes improperly invoke the name or office of the powerful when they seek to oppress others. And I close my case.
Yeah, and the last quote I want to quote before I move on to our next subject is what we say. That my sisters would tell me that my mother used to always say this quotation: "Speak the truth and speak it ever, cause it what it will. He who hides the wrong he did, does the wrong thing still." So yeah, speak the truth and speak it ever, and I will continue to do so. And let me say this: those who have been encouraged to come after me they know deep down in the what is left in their heart and soul, they know who I am. They know that the things that they are doing are wrong, and they will say karma is a bitch. I'm sitting back and wait to see when karma gonna catch up with them. This is not going to daunt me. This is not going to. They want the program. This program has become so popular in the past months, so popular. And I thank you, the students who are here, for the popularity of this program. I thank you. But it has become so popular that they are worried, because they're not worried about the message. They're not worried that they watch with the messenger, because they believe that we have now become too influential. We are educating people, policemen and civilians, about their rights, and therefore they are uncomfortable, and they're trying to get us off the social media. So I believe we are now social media influencers, and they want to get us off. They want to get us off. So we are going to continue to speak the truth. We're going to continue to bring you the information and to speak the truth. Now let me move on. And I'm moving on to this sanction issue. For the next half an hour or so, we're going to deal with this sanction issue. Now, we told you from the outset that based on the sanction by the U.S. Department of Treasury against the Mohammeds, their businesses, and the PS May Thomas, we said that there are serious implications, not only for the individuals, but for institutions and individuals in Guyana and elsewhere. We said so on this program. We warned you, and we said that based on what we have seen, it is just the tip of the iceberg. Because in the release from the Treasury Department, they spoke about corrupt government officials, plural, more than one. Yet still, they only targeted one, May Thomas. They spoke about, in addition to corruption, they spoke about contracts being awarded. They spoke about other things, but we only see them dealing with the corruption part. So therefore, any logic, any sensible person will realize that there is more to come. Now, after that, we read to you 2 weeks ago from what there's an article called "All Skin Teeth No Laugh," and in that piece of article, aspects of the sanctions were revealed, and we brought it to your attention. Some of the things that this means, and Peeping Tom, you know, Peeping Tom, they hold on, let me get you the one of these let me get you the a Jagabati calling people Negro and all that sort of thing. That is not going to be allowed. So let me hold on. One moment. Calling the government said that if you can't refer to Guyanese of Indian descent as East Indian, so therefore I'm not going to allow you to refer to Guyanese of African descent as. Hold on. I'm not going to allow you to refer to Guyanese of African descent as Negroes. That is disrespectful and not here. You're not going to be doing it. We're not going to allow you to do it here. So out you go. Bye-bye. Yes, I was saying Peeping Tom, and for those of you who don't know, Peeping Tom is a columnist in the Kaicho News. Don't know who the person, who the individual is, but that is the pseudonym that he uses Peeping Tom. Now, Peeping Tom wrote an article sometime after that to say that this sanction it only relates to property in the states and people who are U.S. citizens and all of that. That is what Peeping Tom said. And I had to look at it and I said maybe when they taught comprehension in school, whoever was Peeping Tom, he did not attend class that day. I said it had to be that Peeping Tom did not attend classes that day. Because if you read what the sanction says, and hold on, I'm trying to get it here to read aspects of it to you. The thing clearly said that not only the people in the US and the business in US, but they talk about other institutions worldwide. That is why it is called the Global Magnitsky Act. Global. So any financial institution, any place in the world that attempts to do business with the Mohammeds are going to come under sanctions as well. So Peeping Tom tried to mislead people by saying, oh, it's only people in the States. But this morning or yesterday, there's a very interesting article in the Stabrook News in relation to the same sanctions, because it says here, the personal and business account at local commercial banks of businessmen Azruddin Nazar Mohammed were closed almost immediately following the announcement of sanctions by the United States Department of Treasury. Sources close to the banking sector says. It was explained that the banks notified the businessmen and the end of doing business with them went smoothly. Insurance companies followed suit, and regulatory agencies here understand that all of the entities in the financial sector that were doing business with the Mohammeds have stopped doing so. This newspaper understands that the Mohammeds did not hold personal accounts with the banks, but their transactions were mostly business related. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Labor, Mayor Toussaint Junior Thomas, has personal accounts in 2 commercial banks. This newspaper understands. And her salary is paid into one. However, it is unclear if the banks have also closed those accounts. Given that she is currently on leave and is still entitled to her salary, it is also unclear how she will be paid, given that public sector salaries are paid by checks or direct bank deposit. The move by the banks and the Mohammed, it was explained, was to safeguard them as quickly as possible against any risk of being associated with the sanctioned persons, and that comes with severe repercussions. The banks here, the quoting somebody said, the banks here don't operate in isolation. They are heavily dependent on correspondent banks in the US and their services. Given that those financial institutions have to act immediately or face the consequences in their country, it is only safe for those here to also act, even without first being told anything, one source said. And then they explained correspondent banks had already been in short supply here, as many of them had ceased operation in the Caribbean over the last 20 years for fear of exposure to money laundering and other risks. And then the last part of the last excerpt I'm going to read, it says US citizens and companies are now also prohibited from doing any transaction with the trio, along with financial institutions globally, as they expose themselves to similar sanctions. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. But before I go any further, I'm going to bring in Mr. Conway, and then I'm going to attempt to unpack some of what I just read. CC, I know you have your views on what I just read. Please express them.
Yeah, because we talking about peeping Tom. Perhaps he's really peeping, but maybe not seeing clearly. Peeping, but he ain't seeing clearly. And if you look at it, they talk about correspondent banks, third party financial institutions. They talk about something called SWIFT, Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. And even the President Ali, it said all governments, he said, government suspended all the businesses on the business with the Mohammed. He said everything is suspended. Let me make it very clear. Transaction with the gold board, everything is suspended. Here is what the president is saying, and why people in town don't jump on it and say what the president saying is nonsense. On the other hand, Paul, the what call the supreme legal influencer for the government, Anil Nanlal, he trying to brush aside the things. He talking, but hear what he say. Guyana just went through a test and evaluation exercise by the internationally authorized agency for this region, that is CFATF, and the Guyana's financial system and AML stroke CFT architecture acquitted itself well after 2 years, I think they must make it 2 days, grueling and interrogative scrutiny and detailed examination, which included a 2-day face-to-face engagement where 200 experts scrutinized our legislation, our policy, our structures, our commitment, our effectiveness. We were questioned for 2 days. At the end of the process, we received a clean bill of health, and our AML CFT received a clean bill of health. This is our current status as certified by authorization regulation agency in the region. He talking about CFAT F. He ain't addressing the U.S. Treasury Department report. He not addressing that. He stay clear on that. He talking about the Caribbean. It's CFAT F. And they give them a clean bill of health before the announcement was made. What happened now after the announcement was made? There got to be a post-mortem. And Nanlalan talking about that. He remains silent. He ain't talking about that. The Caribbean CFATF is far different from the United States Authority. Far different, and let Nanlal address the sanctions. But he is a chief influencer for the legal for the government, but he remains silent, a wall of silence. He ain't saying anything. Perhaps it's a tacit admission that things what the United States say is correct, and they're in order to put out sanctions on those 3 persons. And even after that, the PS suspension is the PS suspended with pay? What are the conditions of the suspension? And nothing is said. Just that the PS is suspended, full stop.
Well, according to the article I just read, it's clear if you're suspended, she has not been dismissed. She's suspended on leave, basically. So therefore, she's entitled to suspend all her pay and allowances. The issue is, however, that if the bank stop doing business with you, they got to pay you in cash. They can't give you no check. They can't, there's no direct deposit. So that's why we made the point that these things has far-reaching implications, far-reaching. Even now, to the Guyana Election Commission, GCOM, because the elder Mohammed was elected in the Eccles-Ramsburg Neighborhood Democratic Council, the last local government elections, and there's a notice which says, or there is an article which says now that he did say, there's an article which says that he resigned his position in the NDC because they say he was chairman of that NDC. I read something which recently says now that GCOM has to hold by-elections for that constituency. Friends, this thing has far-reaching implications. By-election simply means they have to hold elections. GCOM now got to come together, do all what they have to do to hold the elections, but for that region, that NDC only. So it's a lot of money again to organize for an election in a constituency. This thing has far-reaching implications, and we have not seen all of the fallout as yet. And the Minister of Finance, you would have seen, or maybe you would not, but you bring it to your attention. That is what we do. Said that they wrote to the U.S. Treasury Department seeking information about what they led to this sanction and all of that. And I've been telling you all along, and I have strong suspicion, they ain't gonna forget. So what did the Treasury Department do? They told them that to get the Attorney General of Guyana to write to the Department of Justice for whatever information is needed. And then they cautioned them that this process is a long process. Caution them. So in other words, you could write now, but don't expect to get anything soon. It's a long process. And they say they want the information to conduct investigations. That's what I've been saying. Who is going to conduct this investigation? I have asked this question before, and they're not answering it. Who is going to conduct the investigation? The people said that government officials are involved in this corrupt plot, this whole corrupt scheme. The people said that members of the Revenue Authority are involved in this corrupt scheme. We know as part of this, well, not the sanction, but we know that the police, the head of the police major crime unit was questioned by the federal authorities in the US. And could it be he was questioned as part of the same investigation into the sanction? This investigation was done by 11 state and federal agencies in the US. Allegations were made against the head of the major crime unit of the Guyana Police Force. That is a matter which Asruddin Mohammed brought civil action against Sergeant Bascom, who claimed that $13 million passed on to cover up the paper shot murder that is on record. So who is going to do this investigation? They need to tell us. So don't just say that you are requesting information from the U.S. authorities in relation to this sanction and who they may, what they have in respect to who's smuggling gold and who's smuggling. Because remember, Reuters has also said about drug smuggling and money laundering. They said they're going to write, but tell us that when you get this information, this agency will be responsible for investigating this matter. Tell us who will investigate. And I said before, I'm repeating again, if you really want a proper, credible investigation, when you write to the Justice Department, that I don't know if the Attorney General has written to them as yet, but when you write to them, tell them that because of allegations made against some of the investigative agencies in Guyana, and that they might be compromised, we are requesting the FBI to conduct the investigation to get to the root of this problem. Tell them so. Don't just ask information and tell us that you request the information because we intend to do we request the information because we intend to do our own investigation. Don't leave it there. Go on to tell us Who in Guyana you think capable of conducting a credible investigation into this damning allegation? At the same time, I said too, they might reach out to them to investigate the Sugate allegation, where it was alleged, allegation, mind you, that the vice president demanding money from Chinese businessmen to give contract. And remember, we talk about allegation. The allegation is about the money. The allegation is about the meeting, because there's evidence, overwhelming evidence, that the meeting took place in the vice president's living room. There was a meeting there. You can't dispute that. Can't dispute that according to the vice president, his tenant, Sue Zerong, his tenant, Sue Zerong, right? And he said, so he does part, I deal with the government part, he will deal with that aspect of the business. What aspect would ordinary, well, that's using ordinarily loosely, would Sue Zerong have to do with with government business? Ask them to investigate that, because I say unless that matter is investigated by a credible organization, that stench, Mr. Vice President, will remain with you everywhere you go. And let me say this again. Let me say this, that I am certain that the US authorities doing this investigation would have analyzed that Vice News video. The behavioral scientists would have looked at body language and the reaction and all of that, and they would come to a certain conclusion. And if you believe that it done there, no, it ain't done there. That is not the way these people operate. It is not finished there. This is not the Guyana Police Force doing an investigation. This is not SOCO doing an investigation. This is, according to them, 11 agencies, state and federal agencies, doing an investigation. The sanction that we spoke about, that we have been talking about, which we will continue to talk about, is as a result of an executive order from the US. Executive orders are signed by the president himself, and if it's a state executive order, by the governor of the state. This is a federal thing. So the president himself had to get involved in this. So I will say again, this is not no small thing. It is not no small thing, and we have not seen everything as yet. The article in yesterday, they said that the banks stop all business with the Mormons. I want to know what I mean, because they say I read back the personal and business accounts at local commercial banks of businessmen Asruddin Azar Mormon were closed almost immediately following the announcement of sanctions by the U.S. State Department of Treasury. Sources close to the bank can say they said it was explained that the bank notified the businessman, and at the end of doing business with them went smoothly. What does that mean? Big brother watching, what does that mean? Does it mean that you tell them take back your money? You said this process went smoothly. What does it mean? Were they giving back whatever deposit? They get you write the check and you give them back and say, this is your money. When you write the check, it's just a piece of paper for now. Did you give them back? What does it mean? And then it went on to say that the insurances too were immediately canceled. Is canceled the word, the move? I'm not sure if it's canceled or used, but in other words, they don't have any insurance to the property and vehicles and all of that. And the question was asked some time ago. Seeing that the sanctioned people have no insurance on their vehicle, I suspect, including the PS, how them vehicle driving on the road? How they are going to be on the road without insurance? Do we expect, however, if they see them on the road, do we expect members of the police to take action against uninsured vehicles on the road? All these are things that they got to discuss. All these are things we got to be made aware of. They talk about the Cambio license. I think later on they said the license to export gold too was suspended. Now we know all the bank accounts relating to the business. We know all the insurance that they have, whether it's life, whether it's property, whether it's vehicle insurance. According to this article, all of that canceled. What about other license? I think they have a license to operate a private security company. They have license of multiple firearms. And again, folks, I say that these things of far-reaching consequences. And to the man who sometime last week said to us, you don't know why we are attacking the Mohammeds. We are not attacking the Mohammeds. The Mohammeds are sanctioned. And we are exploring the implications of the sanction. We are not attacking the Mohammeds. We did not sanction the Mohammeds. So, and again, I said perhaps this man who said that, he didn't go to school when they were dealing with comprehension as well. Because no one who understands the language can say with any justification, with any fairness, that what we have been saying about the sanction is a direct attack against the sanctioned persons. We are attacking them. We are exploring the sanction, and we are highlighting what the implications are. Let me bring in Mr. Conway at this stage. CC, I'm sure you have a lot to say. Please go ahead.
Yeah, man. You know, the know-it-all Attorney General, wasn't he aware who the government had to write to in the United States of America? They have to wait for the government to tell them. And if he wasn't aware of who they got to write to, isn't that a case of incompetence? And then you mentioned about behavioral science, Jonathan and Jagdio. We look at it. Look at them in the suitcase. Here's it. A man who could rattle out. Here's a man who could speak without watching on a piece of paper. And when asked was Sui stuttering, who's Sui, the whole countenance change. I study a bit of body language. I think they call it kinesis. And the kinesis telling you a different story. A different story. So the thing is that, that they're not handling it properly. Well, if they could handle it at all. To me, like the die has already been cast, and more things will happen and more things are going to come into play, Paul. That this thing ain't done here. It ain't done. It ain't finished. More to come. And the sanctions are very, very serious implications, worldwide implications. And as you mentioned, it came as an executive order. And last night I was watching at 60 Minutes, and it came up again there too. That the president has the executive order to think the sanctions. So it's not no easy task. It's a very serious matter. Executive order from the president, and no Congress or anybody could change that.
No, and the U.S. ambassador did tell us at the press conference that these things are not easily done. Sanctions are not easily imposed on individuals or organizations. She says a high bar that you have to climb. And the fact that these people sanctioned along with Russian oligarchs, it's very, very serious. And despite what Peeping Tom said, I am aware that the Mohammeds have lots of businesses. The City Mall, for example, at the corner of Regent and Camp Street belongs to them. So all the tenants in there, Digicel, Royal Castle, all of those people have to consider their options. And I think I understand that they have a limited time, 30 days, some people said 60 days, to wind up their operations, or they themselves are going to be faced with consequences. They have to wind up their operations. There are other units, lots of units in that mall. I understand that they were instructed very early to pay in cash, Guyana currency. Well, cash, I didn't say Guyana currency, to pay cash. Because the sanctioned people know that to get a check from any one of them, you can't change it in any commercial bank. You can't even deposit it in any account you have. This thing is serious. They have some luxury apartments by the stadium. My information is that all the tenants of those apartments have already canceled, because most of them, if not all, are Americans working here. And they have already decided to cut and run because they know that if they remain there, they are going to be subject to punishment from the U.S. authority in Treasury. They know that. So whatever business they have, either in Guyana or elsewhere, is under severe threat. And if you feel you're bad, a lot of Guyanese believe that certain things don't apply to them. They can do things and get away with it. Do anything that can be considered as violating the sanctions, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. As they say, Big Brother is watching. Big Brother, and he ain't peeping like the peeping Tom and get it wrong. They are watching. And when you talk about CCTV and drones and all these things, eye in the sky, all the technology the Big Brother would have to make sure that they monitor. I guess by now, all of them who they're on, and I hear names, who when they heard the sanctions, and they might feel that they are on the list as well. They might also do transfer and also do what I think Big Brother watching. They are going to be watching to see what is being done. In the panic, some of them can run. Because the government panic and suspend the cambio license without following the law. The law sets out a process to be followed. Government and by the way, when they sanction, they get so basodi that they run and violate the laws and impose and revoke the license. But like everything else, the fact that the Mohammeds are under, I guess, severe stress, they're not going to challenge that. They're going to just accept that. The fact that the process, the legal process wasn't followed, they're going to just accept it. What else do you expect them to do? They're going to accept it. And let me say this too. Again, I am going to repeat. Vehicles, property, all of those things are without insurance. Because according to the article, the bank stopped doing business with them, all the insurance companies, and all financial institutions. I remember we told you a credit union is also a financial institution. The same credit union that the senior police officer attempted to launder $16.5 million to. That is a financial institution under the laws of Guyana. So even though you name it police credit union, it comes under the relevant law. All of these things, very, very serious. And let me see, I say this to say that I hope that by now, I think it's over 2 weeks, that people would have gotten together and advise individuals and institutions, especially those in government, what these things mean in respect of driver's license, in respect of vehicle insurance, in respect of firearm license, inspector license to operate security company. They should get together, I hope they did by now, and say what are the implications based on this. And again, this is not attacking. That is what would have been expected of them. But I don't know if they did it. I don't know. And if they did not do it, I hope they do it. And I hope that people, through ignorance, don't end up with transactions which can be deemed to be in violation of the sanctions, because you yourself likely to be sanctioned. And as they would normally say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Ignorance of the law is no excuse, right? So Commissioner Cole, no, once a vehicle doesn't have insurance, it should not be on the road. The vehicle does not have insurance because if the insurance companies, because of the sanction, are forced to cancel the insurance, then the vehicles can't go on the road. Can't go on the road. Drive it wrong in your yard, because your yard is not considered in law as a road. Drive it wrong in your yard. Let me bring you Mr. Conner for his closing remarks. CC, your closing, please.
Yeah. This morning I pray for the police force, and I will continue to pray for them. But God is a forgiving. He is forgiving. And I think part of the Bible say, if you know your master's will and you do it not, you shall be beaten with many stripes. And I said over and over again that you can't do policing without God. You can't do policing without God. And when you look at the police out of office, the framers of that office, out of office, they were very clear. The last word of that office is God. Last sentence, so help me God. So I'm putting it to them. I'm reminding them that you can't do policing without God.
Well said, well said. Let me close by telling you again, we like to caution, we used to caution about the COVID. I read recently where there is a outbreak. Um, so there's an outbreak of dengue fever. People have died from dengue. Come, you gotta be careful. Dengue is transmitted by the mosquitoes. So especially in this season where rain, you have a lot of rain, you have to do a lot to clean up your surroundings to avoid mosquitoes breeding. You have to use mosquito net. You have to use insect repellent. You have to be careful because dengue is around. The Minister of Health actually admitted, I think they said they had 4 deaths or something like that. So be careful, folks. Be careful. You have to watch out for the traffic. You have to watch out now for dengue. We tell you about the thief men. You have to watch out for them. Be careful. Now, in terms of going forward, we normally have the Wednesday program. But let me tell you, I am not sure if I am going to be on or if we are going to be on Wednesday. I have an appointment tomorrow with the dentist. I have to go through some procedures. I don't know when he's finished, if I am going to be able to face you on Wednesday. But stay tuned. If it is that we can be here on Wednesday, God's willing, we are going to be here. As I've said, even with my trials with them and the damages and so on, God is in charge. He will show me and he will show us a way. He will show us a way. And remember, you don't wear pajama, you don't like ugly. And that is why you say karma will catch up with some of those people. Karma will catch up. We will continue to tell the truth. And it seems now that the truth can be deemed to be defamatory. So, folks, again, God's willing, and if I have the good health, I am going to be here on Wednesday to bring you more valid information. As I've said, this sanction thing, I have more to tell you about it. Then done, and we have other stuff to discuss as well. So, God's willing, I'll see you on Wednesday at the usual time. And look out for the notice. Look out, please, to the notice. Because if for any reason we cannot make it, the notice will be posted on YouTube and the channel, speaking out, it will be posted. So until then, stay well. Bye.